All right, welcome in here to the NBA Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com. Plenty of action across the board here today. Got some interesting games, couple of interesting late games and updates across the board on some of these injury reports with who's in and who is out. We'll hear from the Contrarian gods. We'll talk about a total in one game. And, of course, we'll have three best bets with today's tremendous panel that we have here today, including, look at this, nobody else must have been available. Bryan Power in the house here. We also have RC, as usual, hanging out in the middle there. Ronald Kabang and the one and only Double R, 1L, Steve Merrill, ready to go here. Gentlemen, happy Wednesday. Love the card here tonight. Obviously, some back-to-back situations here. A couple of really intriguing spots. So we'll start and hear exactly what it is that the Contrarian gods will be looking at last night because unlike Bryan Power, they actually took the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, as we told you, against Boston. And then, wouldn't you know it, the Contrarian gods were spot on. Tonight, they're going to be looking at the Washington Wizards. As disgusting as that is, who in the hell is betting the Wizards? Much like who in the hell would be betting the Cavs in that spot last night? Well, the Contrarian gods are +7 here tonight with Orlando on the second of a back-to-back. So, BP, you want to claim stake to this play as well, Pryor? Or what do you want to do here?
Well, Joe, I don't know if the Contrarian gods were visiting WT.buzz/BP around this time yesterday, but yes, I too had the Cavs +8. And speaking of Contrarian winners, I also gave up the Pistons +11.5. So yes, I faded the hottest team in the NBA and took the worst team. Went 2 for 2 last night in the NBA. So I know a thing or two about going Contrarian. Joe, you know that. Another reminder, though, I saw this Wizards team in person 2 months ago.
Ooh.
Even my wife, who is not an NBA expert, was laughing at them. Her famous quote was, "So the Wizards are one of the bad teams, huh?" So when my wife realizes that, you're really bad, and I don't know if I could take the Wizards here, even with Orlando in the second night of a back-to-back. Joe, the last time Washington won a game was January 29th. If my computer is correct, it says it's March 6th. 15 straight losses. Only 4 of those have been by 7 points or fewer. The only one of those 4 since the All-Star break came against the Lakers, who were in a second night of a back-to-back after a huge come-from-behind win the previous night against the Clippers. Now, Orlando, yes, they are in the second night of a back-to-back as well, but look at what they've done recently. 4 straight wins and covers against bottom feeders, Brooklyn, Utah, Detroit, and then Charlotte last night. The Magic are 3-0 against the Wizards this season, covered a similar number the previous visit to DC, although that was a long time ago, day after Christmas. What was interesting about those 3 games, and this is where I'm going to hone in, the Magic, generally not a high-scoring team, as we know, but they put up 139, 130, and 127 on the Wizards. No overtime involved there. So in lieu of potentially angering the Contrarian gods here, which I would never want to do, I'm going to instead look at Magic over their team total. It's only 115.5. Joe, the Wizards give up 124.6 points per game for the season. 7 of their last 8 opponents have gone for at least 123. So Orlando over 115.5 would be my look. And maybe the Contrarian gods could still be right too. But I'd rather play Orlando over the team total.
It's funny because, Merrill, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I could have sworn during the dog section yesterday, we pointed out how 11 points was entirely too many to be giving the Detroit Pistons. But you go with Brian. You go with that over there. Wasn't like we didn't have that all over the show as well yesterday. And I feel better about the Wizards' play already, RC. What are you thinking here tonight? It's not like Orlando to shoot the lights out of anything, but I get it. That's why it's a contrarian play, though, isn't it, with the Wizards taking 7?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to shoot threes as much, but if you look at the Wizards here, they really don't have a paint presence. I think Bagley will be out, so I believe that he's the only center or player that's considered a center on that roster. So there's definitely not going to be a lot of paint defense in this one. Like, who's going to stop the Magic in the paint? In my opinion, I think they're top 5 in points per game in the paint. And the Wizards, without them having any defense there, I think they're just going to live there pretty much. I mean, from a trend perspective, the Wizards 1-4 straight up and against the spread when at home facing unrested teams. So it's not like they're in a situation to take advantage of tired legs or anything like that. Magic, they just been a cash cow right now. I mean, I think last 17 games they won and covered 13 of those. They're 7-1 straight up and 6-2 against the spread as road favorites this season as well. So this is a situation that I feel comfortable taking the Magic here. What is it, -7 now or -7.5? I think 7.5 is still doable.
All right, going 7.5. Well, it was actually 8, so we know BP certainly not bringing that that line down here back in the Wizards here. What are you thinking here, Merrill? 8 is what I saw overnight. I am seeing 7s here, so hell, somebody's betting them here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Orlando did only beat Detroit by 3 a couple weeks ago as an 8-point road favorite after winning at Cleveland. So on the surface, it doesn't look like a good spot. But the problem is, if you're taking a team like the Wizards, the worst team in the NBA right now, 15 straight losses, their longest losing streak since March of 2010, the last 14 years. They're on a pace to have their worst record in the history of the franchise, whether it was the Baltimore Bullets, the Washington Bullets, or the Washington Wizards. If you're going to take a team like this, you really need to make sure the other team's in a letdown spot. And I'm not sure Orlando is, because they've now climbed to 4th in the conference. They think they feel disrespected. Not a lot of people are talking about them still in the playoff picture. And that's the type of team that usually beats up on bad teams. And I think Orlando would be the only way to play this one. It seems too obvious, obviously. 7-1 straight up, 6-2 ATS their last 8. They've had the best point spread record of the NBA now for a couple seasons. But I need to catch double digits. I'm going to take the Wizards. I used them as a free play on my page last Thursday, and I should have pulled the trigger with the best bet against the Lakers. But I just can't back bad teams like this. But as Brian Power said, it was a terrible spot for the Lakers. They'd come back from over a 21-point deficit the night before to beat the Clippers, and they had the Nuggets on deck Saturday when LeBron was going to break the scoring record. And even then, the Wizards couldn't hold on. They lost in overtime. And you look at their other recent losses. Before that, they lost by 9 at home against Cleveland, lost by 7, lost by 8. These are their covering losses during this 15-game losing streak. 8, 8, 7, 6. I mean, it's hovering right around this spread, and then all the other losses have been point spread losses as well. So just not enough points for me. I don't mind angering the contrarian gods by leaning towards Orlando, because I will not be playing this game one way or the other.
I love it. That is a 3 for 3 against the contrarian gods. And yes, we all know how that eventually ends up now, don't we? But welcome in those joining us here live today in the chat room. We certainly do appreciate it. Big Daddy in the house. Catch you slipping is then there. Terry, woo, getting ready to go, as is Titans. CT, guys, we appreciate you hanging with us here. And kudos. I believe that's back-to-back consensus of the chat room here. The last couple of shows, Chicago Bulls the night before was a pretty good consensus. And last night, they were all hopped up on the Pacers. And they got it done, too, against Dallas. So we'll see what the chat room's got to say here today for their best bet. We're going to focus on a featured matchup here, since we're all talking about the Lakers getting it done. Can they do it again? They got it done against OKC the other night. Now the Kings are coming to town. Can they? Will they, Brian Power? Can they get it done against Sacramento here tonight at home?
Overtime segment not coming up for a few minutes, Joe, but I'll give out an over here. Seems as if LeBron James, who is eternally questionable when it comes to the injury report, we know, seems a little more questionable than usual tonight. I mentioned this on the show last week, but when James is off the floor, the Lakers are just putrid defensively. Their rating at that end of the floor just plummets to among the worst in the league. Now, LeBron or no LeBron, it's usually the road where the Lakers stink defensively. But here's the thing. Tonight, they're another team. Second night of a back-to-back, as you mentioned. They had the big win over Oklahoma City. When the Lakers are without rest, guys, they allow 121.8 points per game. The over is 8-3-1. In those 12 contests. And even if LeBron doesn't end up playing tonight, the Lakers could still, they've been shooting well. 6 straight games, better than 50% from the floor. That surprised me. Sacramento's a team I'm not a fan of. I talked about this earlier in the week on Wager Talk today. When I took the Bulls plus the points against the Kings on money, Joe, I'm sure you're going to find a reason how I stole that play from somehow, but people can check. The tape right here on the fantastic Wager Talk TV. Over 145,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. De'Aaron Fox back in the lineup for the Kings, though. That needs to be noted. And in two previous meetings against the Lakers, Joe, the Kings have scored 125 and 132. That's pretty good. I don't want to pick a winner here, but I do think we're going to see a ton of points, which the odds makers obviously are expecting with that number.
Ooh, all right. So we're looking at a up and over here in this one tonight from BP. RC, what are you thinking here? I mean, usual suspects, are questionable here, but we all know how that turns out. So what are you thinking here? You looking at total? You looking at side? Do you trust the Lakers to go back to back here?
Yeah, I think I'm with him here on the total. From the side perspective, I think he can go either way. To be honest, I think the Kings have owned this matchup this season. I think they're 2-0, straight up and against the spread. They won and covered both of them. But it actually goes further than that. They've won and covered 6 of the last 7 matchups between these two teams here. That goes back to 2021. Lakers as home favorites, though. This is a situation that they've done well in. They're 18-5 straight up. So, and the number that we're looking at here, I think it's at 2 or 2.5. It's pretty close to just asking them to win this game. So if we're looking at it from a straight up perspective, you want to just take the money line. That could be the way that you go here. But from a total perspective, I totally agree with the over here. Some of the things that I looked at was the fact that both of these teams, if you look at recent form, last 10 games, they're both both top 3 in average points per game in the paint, but they're both bottom 7 in limiting that. So this could be a situation where we see like a layup drill. Everyone's living in the paint, scoring from the paint. And if that happens and they push the pace, it could definitely go over this number. I know the under has been going. Games have been going under at a crazy rate since the All-Star break, but at some point, these games are going to start to go to the over. They're going to bring the totals down a little bit more. And I think if this was pre-All-Star, this would have been a 240 plus game, in my opinion, just based on pace alone. So yeah, I would like to agree and go with the over here.
It's funny. You both say that there, and the total seems to be a popular pick, and so do a lot of the over in prop betting too with some of these guys. I know a lot of guys are all over De'Aaron Fox up and over the point total here. D'Angelo Russell up and over there, his point total here. So points could very much be coming here, Merrill, in this one here. Are you looking at the total as well, or do you think there's a side worth leaning towards?
Well, we've been talking about that the last few shows here. All of a sudden we're seeing more low totals than we are seeing high totals anymore. And you look at the board again tonight, we have a 212, a 214. Everything's in the 220, 220 range, and this one's almost 239.5. So I am actually looking for reasons to play the highest totals over, and I think both guys gave a good reason for this one. So I do like over 239.5 in this. You never know with the injury report. I joke that, the default setting all season long for the Lakers is Anthony Davis probable, LeBron questionable, and then you have to kind of read in between that a little bit further, but that's what we see again tonight. Let's assume they're going to play. It's not a back-to-back set. Lakers, of course, just beat the Thunder on Monday. I actually had a strong best bet, and that is documented just like Brian Powers' best bets on my page at WagerTalk.com when they beat the Thunder on Monday. So I think it's a focus spot for the offenses tonight. And the Lakers' offense, by the way, has been fantastic. In fact, over the last 6 games, they've shot 51% or better. They've shot 51% or better now in 9 of the last 10 games from the field, and 49% in that other game. So this offense has been just lights out. Teams have not been able to stop them. And, your Sacramento Kings, Joe Ranieri, they've given up 51% or worse in 4 of the last 6, 49% or more in 6 straight, and in like 8 of the last 9. So maybe a Laker team total is the way to go. I wish we had a little bit more clarity on LeBron and some certainty there, but Lakers offense has been sneaky good here over the past several weeks.
It's an interesting game here tonight, guys, for sure. Late night special there, Lakers and the Kings. I am seeing some of the guys in the chat room here. I do believe big old Titan CT, he's going Kings. He's taking the points here, and it does seem that we might have a couple of overs as well. And Big Daddy, I like this one too. First half over, 122 in this matchup here tonight. So a lot of different ways, I think, to play this game here, but we'll focus on a total in a game coming up here. And why don't we, in our overtime section, talk about the two single most profitable under teams for a while now with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Golden State Warriors. 227 is the total, 227 and a half, somewhere in that ballpark there, but you wouldn't guess it, but both of these teams have been absolute money to the under here over the last, I don't know, maybe 14 games, 15 games, somewhere in that ballpark there. It's no doubt that when we're starting to see a lot of unders here, BP, I don't know. I mean, Giannis still questionable, but so what? Even more. So maybe the under is the way to look here, or do you think maybe this number is too short and the over is the way to look?
Well, yeah, just to put some numbers to what you were saying there, Joe. Milwaukee, 10 straight unders, 14-1-1 to the under since Doc Rivers took over back in late January. Boston, they have gone under in 7 straight now, the last game of which was the humiliating loss to Boston in front of a national television audience. But I think those recent trends from these two teams, they've conspired to produce a total that is too low for tonight's matchup. To that point, these teams met back on January 13th, guys. The total closed at 241, and the game went over. Bucks won 129-118. They were 13.5-point favorites. So I'm looking at that. I said, wait a minute, the Bucks were 13.5-point favorites. I can't remember every game, from 2 months ago. So I would go back and look. I'm like, what was the deal there? There was no Steph Curry or no Draymond Green, who are both playing tonight, and the total was 241. So right away, I'm looking at this. There's value here. And to that point, you go back to Thanksgiving. That's the holiday with turkey, Joe. There have only been 4 games where Warriors totals were lower than the one tonight. 2 were against Memphis. What is Memphis? Dead last in offensive efficiency. One was against Portland, who's a corpse. The other was against the Knicks, who were incredibly shorthanded going to that game. Now, the Bucks could be shorthanded. You mentioned Giannis. Chris Middleton's still out, of course. But I just mentioned it. There was no Steph Curry last time. And these teams scored 247 points. You look at what Golden State did on Sunday. They were 7 of 41 from 3. I think they're going to be a little bit better from behind the arc here tonight. By the way, last 3 seasons, Golden State 15-8 to the over after a game where they failed to score 100 points up and over overtime.
Still trying to get over the fact that apparently you can only eat turkey on Thanksgiving, RC. I had no idea about that, but apparently that's what the holiday's all about. RC, what are you thinking about in this one here? I saw 226 and a half early. I'm seeing 227 and a half now. So the market is kind of fading this under trend here, pushing this total up. Are you buying it in this one?
No, I think, both of these teams have been trending towards the under since the break. Every single game for the Bucks have gone under. Number 1 rated defensive team in the league during that span. Even from a strength of schedule perspective, I know it hasn't been great, but there were a couple of games in there that they did play some pretty decent offenses. But still, it goes to show, Coach Rivers is a more defensive-minded coach, and you can see that has changed the culture of this team here in recent form, for at least. And if you look at the Warriors side, they've been strong against the spread and to the under as well. So defensively, slower pace, they're getting it done. For I think it's like 12-2 to the under now in the last 14 games. So that's their recent form as far as like a total trend. They've been strong as home favorites as well against the spread, and they're also there. They're getting it done from the defensive side of the ball. One thing that really pushes me towards the under, and I know obviously the one thing that I looked at with the Bucks team is the coaching, the difference between the coaching, right? Doc Rivers has been more of a defensive-minded coach, but one thing that holds true is how the Bucks struggle when they do travel west. Road non-conference games, they're 8-0-1 against the spread. 8-0-1 to the under, 2-7 against the spread. So that means their offense doesn't travel with them. That's 8 points less per game on the road in non-conference games than they average on the season. And specifically when they go from home and they go west for their first game on the non-conference game, they've lost 2 straight in that situation. They actually lost outright to the Grizzlies in that spot too. So this is a spot where I think we might see the Bucks struggle offensively. We see both teams still continue to play good, solid defense, and I think the under might be the way to go here in this one.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Giannis still showing questionable here, Merrill, but I would almost bet really. I mean, it's Golden State. It's not. It's at a conference here, so. If this is really an issue, this whole Achilles thing with him, which is never a good thing here, and the only thing that would ever help is rest. Given how much success they've had, I almost don't think he'll play here tonight. I would just count on any bet in this game, him not being in it. So does that affect the way you look at the total in this one at the 227.5? Because the market's pushing it up.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling as well, Joe. Is like if he's questionable. He didn't play obviously, as you know, the other night. We talked about that on what was it, Monday's show against the Clippers, and we saw them go from a 3-point favorite down to a dog at times, and they win the game outright, 113-106. Hard to imagine they're going to rush them back here, and they have the Lakers on deck, by the way, Friday in California, and then they have the Clippers Sunday. So it's a tough road trip here over the next week. We'll have to check Giannis's status as we get closer to tip-off. As far as on or off the court numbers, this is based on a 48-minute average per 100 possessions. They're about 10 points weaker, 9 to 10 points weaker offensively without him. Not a surprise. But they're also about 3.5 points weaker defensively, and he is a big man, so that kind of makes sense as well. So a little bit of a favor to the under if he doesn't play for that reason. But my concern with Milwaukee would be just how focused they're going to be here on this road trip after knocking off the Clippers without him. Golden State should be very focused in this spot. They're coming off an embarrassing 52-point loss to the Boston Celtics on Sunday. That ended a 4-game road trip. And what's funny about the Warriors, remember last year their home road dichotomy was about as extreme as we've ever seen in the history of the NBA, good at home, bad on the road. This year they have, even with that loss, they have a better road record still than at home. They're only 16-15 at home. They're 16-13 away this year. And I point that out because the Warriors have always been known for that great defense for a decade or so. They're not a good defensive team anymore. They're giving up almost 47% shooting on the year, giving up over 47.5 at home. So it's actually been a weaker defensive team at home as well. So I'm conflicted on the total here. A little bit of a contrarian call towards the over, just for the opposite reasons. It seems like everyone's jumping on the under here. And I think if Giannis doesn't play, we could also get a little bit of a street ball mentality from Milwaukee with very little defense.
Yeah, it should be a good one here tonight. Keep an eye on the Giannis availability there. Still questionable, but I'd be kind of shocked if he does go in this one. This is a rough road trip they're going to be in the middle of right here. All right, so we've got a total out of the way. We got a featured matchup. We threw up a little bit listening to the Contrarian Gods play, and we learned that turkey is eaten on Thanksgiving. I had no idea. So now we got to learn a little something else here. And by the way, big shout out to those of you guys joining us in the chat here live today. And if you're joining us for the first time, hit that subscribe button and become part of the WagerTalk TV family. Is all the big games, guys. We've got content and game previews on all the big games here, just a click away. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, give us a thumbs up. We'd certainly appreciate it as we get ready to talk about some dogs, and we got plenty of them here tonight. So Robert, let's take a look at who might be barking tonight.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
All right, let's see who might be barking tonight. We went over the Wizards. The Grizzlies, shocker there. The Jazz getting points, as are the Blazers. Another shocker. Whoa. The Rockets are getting points. Oh, that's just wrong that you would do that, BP to Robert. Cavs also getting 2.5. The Bucks find themselves in a dog roll, as we told you. And the Kings also dog roll here. So a little something for everybody. We got anywhere from a bucket to LOL, which is pretty much what we've got here when you're talking about the Blazers. So, BP, we're going to start with you, unfortunately. What are you thinking we're going to get from a dog here tonight, one possibly barking here? Who would it be for you?
You're in peak form today, Joe. Well, that's my dog is going to be those Houston Rockets. +6.5, if nothing else. Nothing else. I might get an extra 5 seconds in the next segment. We'll see on that. Stay tuned. But in all seriousness, there we go. Finally. I'll tell you what, the people behind the scenes on this show love to have a great time. But in all seriousness, Steve talked about home road splits when he talked about Golden State. Let's talk about Houston's home road splits. How am I going to get through this? To this year, Houston at home. Houston, by the way, a fine town with fine people. The Rockets are 21-10 straight up and against the number this year. Do I worry that it's the second night of a back-to-back? Sure, I do, but this is a lot of points for a team that's really good at home to be getting. To that point, just the fourth time this season that the Rockets are underdogs of 6.5 or more at home. The Clippers, guys, since the break, 3-4. 2 of those wins were against the Grizzlies and the Wizards, 2 teams you obviously can always see on the board almost daily here in the That's My Dog segment. Clippers just too inconsistent to trust laying this many points on the road. So the Houston Rockets, they are my dog for Wednesday, plus 6.5.
All right. Well done. Way to suck up there, BP. Outstanding stuff with the Rockets. CRC, and you said he would never learn. Now, he looks like he's coming a long way here. So talk to us, RC. Got a little something for everyone in the dog market here. Is there one that stands out to you tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking towards the Grizzlies as a dog. They're coming off a nice win over the Nets. I know, obviously not super surprising there, but overall this season, this is a situation that they've done well in. From a spread perspective, last 20 games, 13-7 against the spread. They've been in pretty good form. But what I was looking at was them as road dogs, 6-1 ATS in that span. Most of the things that I really looked at was from that road dog situation. But another thing to mention too, 3-1 ATS 4-0 to the over as well. If their opponent is unrested in that spot, so their offense really takes advantage, and it really doesn't matter if Triple J is in or out, because when he's out and they're on the road, they're actually 3-1 ATS in that spot as well. One thing on the Sixers side that the biggest reason why I wanted to fade them here today was the fact that Maxey is going to be out. Yesterday, I think overnight he was actually considered game time or questionable or something like that, but with the concussion rule, he's supposed to be out the day of and the day after he is diagnosed with a concussion. So I expected him to be out. So got a little bit ahead of the line there as far as getting a good number with the Grizzlies. But they haven't won a game without Maxey in the lineup all season long. They even lost to the Blazers outright. Blazers were on the second leg of back-to-back games. They couldn't even take advantage of that. They actually lost 104-130. That's a 26-point loss to a lowly Blazers team. So I really don't expect anything much from the Sixers here. I was on this yesterday. I took it before I knew Maxey was out. So, it was kind of too late to take it back. But this time around, I got it right. I knew Maxey was going to be out, and that's why we're fading him today.
Yeah, it was so weird to mild concussion. What the hell is a mild concussion? Either you have a concussion or you don't have a concussion. And why the hell are you keeping that thing secret till the last minute then all of a sudden? So I was with you there, man. That was a very strange last-minute scratch there with the Sixers here, but much easier to look at it differently now with him. We know at least going to be out another game here. But Merrill, how about you, man? There is some ugliness on this card here tonight for dogs. Is there one you might be leaning towards here that might be barking?
No, it's pretty ugly. I was going to probably go like Rockets or Grizz, and both Brian and Ronald use those. So I'll try to come up with something different here. But those would probably be my top 2 recommendations in all honesty. My concern with the Rockets, though, is the Clippers are coming off that loss. But as I've talked about, I think the Clippers might be a fade team over the next couple months. After that monster run, the first 2 months, the honeymoon period, if you will, with Harden in the lineup, I think they could be a little overrated down the stretch, but it does concern me they could be focused here off the loss. I like where Ronald was going, fading the Sixers. I mean, the Grizzlies are awful, but, we talk about the superstar status. When the guy's out, the team steps up, but they're already without their superstar Embiid for a couple months now. Maxey's been the guy that stepped up. I just don't know what they have left. They probably shouldn't be laying 5.5 against anybody without those 2 in the lineup. So I do like the Grizz, but I'll throw another game out there that we haven't talked about here on the show yet. Utah plus 3.5. It does concern me a little bit that the Jazz are so shorthanded, but they historically have had a very strong home court for decades because of the thin air and altitude. It is a real factor. And I know Chicago doesn't come in here unrested, but they're still in the middle of a road trip here. And this is a Chicago offense that, even though they've won a game here against Sacramento, and we talked about that win, a miraculous win, right, Joe? Or were they down by 22 or 17, whatever it was in the fourth quarter? They're not in good form still. And they shot 50% in that game just because the Kings' defense is awful. Chicago's shot 43% or worse the previous 4 games before that. Now they're in thin air and altitude, second in 3 nights. So maybe a little bit of a lean towards the Jazz. We haven't talked about that game yet, but a pretty ugly dog board to say the least.
Yeah, I had a little disgusted. I mean, Matisse Thybulle is questionable here tonight. Not one of you even looked towards Portland here. So a little disgusted. We could have went real ugly here. We could have went rolling in the mud, but nope. You guys stayed a little bit on the weak side here, but that's all right. Dogs are dogs here, and there's inevitably going to be a few that are barking here tonight. But what about best bets here, guys? As we've got Merrill, let me see if my count is right here. Is it 9? Is it 9 tonight, or is it 8? Which one is it? It's 8. There you go.
9 last night.
All right. I
7
was
tomorrow.
adding games yesterday. Yes,
8 on
I was
Friday,
looking ahead.
7 on Saturday, 9 on Sunday. You can tell I went and checked today just for you.
About the Celtics Nuggets tomorrow night. Don't get me talking about it. But we do have 8 games to choose from for best bets. And whether you want to hear it or not, you're stuck. Bryan Power has a best bet, and we're going to put 20 seconds on the clock, mostly because that's all we can handle. Everyone else will get 60. You'll get 8. There you go, man. Do what you want with it, BP. Give us a best bet tonight. Where are you rolling? Preferably something you haven't already heard.
What am I running? Never mind. I'm not going to talk about what I'm rolling. But anyway, we've had a lot of fun on the show today. Okay, joke around. Let's get down to business, though. Okay, it's been a great run in the NBA. In all seriousness, I'm a red hot 6-1 the last 7 days. Perfect 3-0 the last 2 days. Go back to February 7th. How about 72% with all NBA plays? You want to go all the way back to last year's finals? We're hitting 60%. So I've seen it well in the NBA for some time. And you can check out all my plays, of course. We even let Joe Ranieri see them at wt.buzz/BP. For today's best bet, it is going to be the Atlanta Hawks. I had Cleveland last night. I mentioned that earlier. They left it all on the line in a huge comeback win over Boston, but it came with a price. Evan Mobley is now out. This team was already banged up. Second night of a back-to-back. I know it's also the second night of a back-to-back for the Hawks, who are just 10-21 ATS at home this season. But the line move tells the story here, guys. Lay it with Atlanta, a short number against a Cleveland team that is beyond banged up.
All right, that's fantastic stuff there, really, honestly. All right, we appreciate that, BP. Well done. RC, what is going on here? Now, you, my friend, we'll give you the full 60 seconds so you can lay it out for us here, my man. Where are you going for a best bet tonight?
I am going with the Bulls here. This is a spot they've been doing really well in, the road favorite situation. 7-1 straight up, 6-2 ATS, but more so when they're in a non-conference game as well. 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. The one they didn't cover, they missed by the hook. They were on the second leg of back-to-back games there. And each one of those wins that they had, they won by at least 6 points. On the Jazz side, they're going to be without Laurie marking in. They average about, I think it's like 8 or 9 points less per game when he's not in the lineup. They've also, the games that they did cover when he wasn't in the lineup, that I know they're 7-4 ATS when he's not in the lineup, but they covered against, lower tier teams. They beat the Blazers twice, the Pistons, the Wizards. They actually covered against the Wolves by the hook, but the Wolves didn't have Ant. So this is not a good situation here for them. The matchup is not good for them either without Laurie in the lineup. This is a spot where the Jazz typically struggle against lower paced teams. 1-6 straight up when the total is less than 225. Take the Bulls here.
I love the Bulls. Actually, you're not alone there, too. You got a few people here in the chat, also, RC, that are all over the Bulls here with you here tonight. Good spot for them. That leaves us Double R and 1L. Steve Merrill ready to go here. We've established 8 games tonight on the card, Merrill. We appreciate that. Bryan Power already in the chat room, patting himself on the back. So take as much time as you want here and lay it out for us tonight, Merrill. Where are you going for a best bet?
Look at a free NBA play tonight for Wednesday in just a moment. I have a huge card tonight, though, in college and pro basketball. 1 NBA best bet for my clients, but also 3 college basketball best bets. A rare 4-for-1 special is available right now for just $29. It's $25 per player. Get all 4 for just $29. That works out to less than $7.50 a play for all 4 best bets. And a bonus free college game, an additional game posted for free for everyone on my page right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, ranked number 1 all time in units won, over 180 units of profit since I joined WagerTalk 3 years ago in college and pro basketball sides combined. And I got 4 more going tonight, 4 for 1 special for Wednesday. I'm going to agree with Bryan Power, the great senator from Ohio, with the Atlanta Hawks minus 2.5. Atlanta led by 22 last night, never trailed. Meanwhile, Cleveland overcame a 22-point deficit for their 1-point win. Both teams are banged up. Atlanta's at home. They're the better team. They're 9-6 ATS after that 11-35 start. There's actually some value now with the Atlanta Hawks.
Love the Hawks play there. Mostly. Oh, there he is. The man from Ohio. There he is, the senator, looking wonderful there. That is his real hair. By the way, it's kind of hard to believe. Yeah.
His hair's in Canada.
Look at that thing. Look at that look there. That's impressive there, BP. Look at that thing.
His hair is north of the border, if I'm not mistaken.
Aquanet? What is that? Is that moose? That's moose. I like it.
I'm not a bad-looking man, I'll tell you that.
No. Oh, there he is. Oh, look at that.
I watched that last week.
That was the finest moment of my career. Good Lord.
Yes.
Once again here, we have ourselves a couple of best bets here to go over. Mostly the Hawks at 2.5, as apparently BP looked at Merrill's place. Also, Bulls laying 3.5. RC, the only one staying in his own damn lane. Outstanding as always here, gentlemen. You did a great job. Except for BP, all we had to deal with here. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I thought you guys, RC and Merrill, did a great job considering who you had to be here with. But, gentlemen, we certainly do appreciate it. Don't forget, best bets locked and loaded over at WagerTalk.com. Shout out to Omelet in the house. Love that. Fantastic. Big Daddy, Titan CT, all of you guys hanging out in the chat room here today. Hit that thumbs up on your way out, guys. If you could, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Come back and join us again tomorrow. Like we said, I'm counting 7 games tomorrow, including the Celtics taking on the Nuggets, which should be the game of the day. 7. He's got 7 fingers up, I think, is what I am seeing. Either way, we'll be back tomorrow with another NBA tip-off show. Until then, best of luck with your plays here, guys. And don't forget, click on that video on your screen right now and get access to all the other big games going on tonight across the sports betting landscape. Enjoy. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good luck.